What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Pri, back again with another video. Have you struggled with career fulfillment this year? Look, 3 months into the year, it's getting a little bit, work's still not really picking up. You don't necessarily feel as happy. I got you. I recorded this video that you're about to see last year when I was in the studio, and I never released it because I wasn't sure how I could embed it within the podcast series. And I thought, if I'm going to talk about it again, can I just reuse that? Why not? It's the same thing I'm going to be talking about. So what you're about to see today is me talking about career fulfillment, talking about you thinking outside of the box and really challenging your thought process and how you can make the most in regards to the time you have in your career. And I'm not talking about it just from say now until the next couple of years. I'm talking about the extended lifespan of your career. So I hope this serves and adds value. Standard house rules. And if you're a fan of these videos, if you're a fan of the podcast, can I ask you politely to just like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already? It just helps me build this platform and what I'm trying to do in this unfiltered space. But with that being said and done, I hope you find this useful. I hope you find this interesting. And yeah, enjoy.
Because I've had this kind of conversation that's arisen a number of times with a number of clients and more particularly ex-work colleagues. It's around working your ass off, working your shit off to get to a point where it's what is the actual point? What I mean by that is, have you ever been in a situation or have you ever been in this predicament where you basically feel you're working for the weekend? You're looking so far forward in regards to the time where you get free time, you're actually not really bothered, or you just want to get through and grind through the next few days of work just to have that freedom and that enjoyment. To me, when I think about it, I generally don't feel it's a healthy space. You're spending 35 to possibly 45 hours a week at work. What does that say if you're so excited or you just can't wait to get through the week to then just chill out and do nothing on the weekend? What does that say about your job? What does it say about how you feel in regards towards your job? It's an interesting conversation, right? If I ask you, you're so excited about what's about to happen in your free time, what does that say in regards to your state of mind? That you're not excited right now? You're about to just have a week of experience that you just generally can't be asked for because you're so not maybe that bothered or fulfilled in regards to what you're doing right now. And I can appreciate circumstances differ, right? Maybe your situation doesn't make it easy for you to be able to have that level of enjoyment and enlightenment in your career right now. I get that. And when people listen to this, they may say, look, Pri, you don't understand. I actually have to do this job because of X, Y, and Z to get to a place where I'm able to do A, B, and C. So understandably, I get that. But I don't believe that people should be working a job just purely for the sake of it. I put my hands up and say maybe I've got those luxuries where it's a bit easier for me to say that from where I am right now. I am a strong believer that you should, in this day and age, be working towards an element of fulfillment. And what I mean by that is, if you spend 35 to 45 hours a week, and I think I've done the maths on other episodes before, but let me just drill it into you a bit more right now. 35 to 45 hours a week in a 120-hour week, you're looking at possibly a third of your time in your week spent working. You take another third in regards to sleep. So you got a third working, a third sleeping, and the rest of that time is possibly spent doing what? Cleaning, eating, chilling, gymming, bit of Netflix, brushing your teeth, getting ready, travel if you have to travel for work. Where is that actual enjoyable time? Now, some people get that from possibly playing golf like me on the weekends or being able to gym at stupid hours of the day or during their lunch hours, etc. And they find elements of enjoyment. I get that. When it comes to your job, if you're not enjoying that time right now, whilst you're sat behind the desk, while you're in the medical seat, while you're driving, whatever your job entails, if you're not happy or excited in regards to the opportunities that you have right now, that tells me something about the role that you're in. That's not cool. And if you are from a fortunate background where you've been able to go to university and study, or you've been able to power through, you should be thinking twice in regards to, if this isn't fulfilling me, what would? What could I be doing to possibly earn the same salary, but doing something that's more enjoyable? How do I get there? And if that's not an option, and generally you have to continue with this, how do you make this better? How do you make this more enjoyable? How do you make work a lot more of a nicer place to be at? And I feel we just don't think about these things, and we just moan and we grown and we get to the weekend and we're all happy and 2 days go like that, and all of a sudden you're back again on Monday and it's what I wanted to drill down was, you do this career right now from 21 to possibly 65. I think that's the retirement age. That's a lot of time spent doing something you don't enjoy. Just really deep that for a bit. You're sat there working and you just don't enjoy what you're doing. That's a third of possibly your life in that period of time doing something you don't enjoy, where you're most aware and active. I don't know about you, but I would look to possibly want to try and change my circumstances. Don't get me wrong, like I said, if your circumstances are different where you can't start that journey a little bit earlier than anticipated, fine, hands up, it is what it is. But maybe you can try and put things in place where in your free time you're trying to study towards getting towards that new job, or starting your own business, learning about entrepreneurial stuff. I know first and foremost, when I was working in accounting, when I say that, when I was working to try and become an accountant and study towards my chartership. There was an element of enjoyment based on the fact of my squad. They made it an enjoyable experience, and I was very, very fortunate to be in that scenario. But I do know, first and foremost, there were elements of the job which weren't so exciting, and it was a case of, well, how do you make that a bit more enjoyable? For me personally, and I think this is where like the whole coaching situation started kicking into place, and I didn't really know it, was developing better relationships at work and realizing that, yeah, I may have great times with the boys, but can I still have an equivalent level of a good time with these new people that I have to work with these older people that I have to work with someone who's got completely different interests to me? Could I still make that an enjoyable experience? How? How do I build these relationships? And that was one way of looking at it. So I have a big passion of gym and training. Learning things about what people are doing in my current role, i.e. outside of work, is an interesting conversation. Talking about football. The football chat is consistent. That's what makes the role a bit more exciting. And when you build those relationships around that kind of area, and when you're doing your role, it possibly make it a little bit more easier when you hear someone else doing something that you might think, oh shit, I'd love to get involved in that. So it's like, how do you get there? Because then that makes coming to work a little bit more exciting on Monday. If you want to get involved in a project, depending on your kind of line of work, or you want to have an element of that experience just to get a feel for it, it's about going after those things versus just staying in your lane. I feel like environment makes a big difference, and the people make a big difference. And so if you're in a situation right now where you're working, it's not fulfilling you because the people are quite terrible, and like you've tried and you tried and you tried and you just feel like, yo, it's not for me. Maybe it's a case of the next role you consider looking for does have a workforce where it's going to bring the best out of you. And what I mean by the best out of you is the version you like being, the person you are when you're with your friends, the person you are when you've got a smile on your face and you're just happy. And that kind of person might be the person when they're on the football pitch kicking ball with the lads, having a good time chilling. It could be the person who's out with the girls for a few drinks or going for a spa date, who just feels relaxed, content, and willing to open up. Like, those kind of versions of you are what you kind of want to be on a day-to-day basis, right? Because I'm sure that would then make work a lot more enjoyable. If not enjoyable, more fulfilling. And I feel like we don't have that mindset. And we don't have that mindset because we just don't know how to do that. And what I wanted to try and get across in this video is, or in this episode, was that if you're feeling a certain way right now in regards to your career and you genuinely want to find elements of fulfillment, you need to start thinking outside of the box. If the place you're at right now isn't fulfilling you, maybe it's a case of trying to find those opportunities internally within the company, or it's a case of thinking outside of the box and asking yourself the question, what could I be doing? Who do I need to be chilling with? What would make my experience better? I have realized first and foremost that when you're in a job which you're grinding out and you look at the maths and you realize that it's adding no value to you whatsoever in regards to the smile that you have on your face, you don't realize it, but you bring that energy with you home. So if you're unhappy at work right now, and you may feel like once you get home to your wife and your husband and your kids, there's an element of you're bringing that energy back. It's not cool. So again, like I said, circumstances differ and everyone's situation is different. But if you are able to push yourself in a way where you are able to learn, evolve, grow, and generally feel an element of excitement at work, you should be looking to try and get to those levels. So I've mentioned the whole hours that you've been working a week and how much time you've been spending as a third of your life in that period of time. What could you be doing differently? Is it a case of at work right now, to bring a level of enjoyment, you need to go on jogs? Is it a case of having more social events that make work a little bit more enjoyable? Is it a case of asking for secondments to try something new? Is it a case of saying to yourself, you know what, being in London right now isn't serving me. I'd love to possibly see what the New York office is like. How would I go about that? Is there an opportunity? Who do I need to speak to? And I guarantee you would feel a little bit more excited versus plucking away doing what you're doing just to get to the weekend. And it's thinking outside of the box to make what you do on a 9-to-5 basis more enjoyable. Sometimes it's the people and creating those better relationships. Sometimes it's a case of sparking up the environment, or just changing the role and asking for new things just to make it a little bit more interesting. Anyway, enough waffling there. This time I was talking about careers, but again, always happy to hear about what other topics you may feel may add value or may add context. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, it's been your uncle. As you can see, I can't even get my words out right now. But yeah, thank you a lot for listening, and I'm gonna catch up with you soon. Peace.